Lillian, take the stage.
We all love to travel, but when was the last time that you were at the airport ready to depart and you felt like this? At Pack Up and Go, this is the reaction we've helped over 15,000 travelers achieve since 2016. Pack Up and Go is a travel agency that plans 3-day getaways around the United States. But the catch is that your destination is a surprise until the day you depart. Chris, I'm going to use you as an example. All right, let's say that Chris has a big birthday coming up that he wants to celebrate. He tells us that he wants to fly to his destination. He then tells us his departure date is January 15th and his budget is $1,000. Chris then completes our pre-trip survey, where he tells us that he loves being active outdoors, loves skiing and adventure, and appreciates great food and drink. For Chris, that's it. We take it from there. Our travel planners review his survey, book his flight and hotel, and curate itineraries for his destination based on those interests. 1 week before he departs, we email Chris the weather forecast for his destination, tell him to pack along winter gear for an outdoor adventure, and tell him where to go and when for his departure. We then mail Chris this envelope that we encourage him to keep sealed until the day of his trip. So the morning of his departure, Chris will arrive at the airport, open his envelope to reveal his destination, and he's off. We want this to be the easiest and most exciting trip he has ever taken. From Chris's perspective, we package our trips like a tour operator, but on the back end, we operate like a traditional travel agency, but we're harnessing the power of data to curate the most personalized trip experiences possible. So, who are these adventurous travelers? They are busy working parents who need a vacation to reconnect but don't have time to plan one. They are retirees who have time and money to travel but feel out of touch with the travel planning apps. Sometimes they're folks who have never left their home state or been on an airplane and want to travel, but simply don't know where to start. And other times, they're folks who have traveled all around the world and are just looking for a new type of adventure. In 2018, Americans logged 1.8 billion person trips for leisure purposes. The luxury travel market is a $60 billion industry, and on average, it takes 15 hours to research and plan a vacation. Since launching in 2016, Pack Up and Go has sent over 15,000 travelers to 90 destinations around the country. We've seen consistent year-over-year growth, and we are on track for $6 million in gross revenue in 2019. And we've done all of this without raising a dollar. We are a bootstrapped, cash flow positive business and have 4 streams of revenue. But we know that the best solutions lie at the intersection of data and people. We also realize that we are sitting on a goldmine of data and that we can harness it to curate the most personalized trip experiences possible. So we're developing an algorithm to empower our human travel planners to curate the best experiences using 5 data sets. The first comes directly from our travelers. They're telling us exactly what they want on a vacation, what they like, and what they don't like. We also know their demographics, not just their ages and location, but recent and upcoming trips. Having planned thousands of vacations, we have historic booking data that shows us the cost for flight routes and hotels based on starting location and travel date. Next, we tag each of our destinations by interest and type of activity so we can best match a destination to a type of traveler. We have a 50% post-trip survey completion rate, so we know exactly what our travelers think about their trip overall, their destination selection, their airline, and their hotel. But the best part of this is that as we continue to grow and get more data, this process will only become more refined and accurate. We've taken the 15 hours of researching and planning a vacation to 15 minutes. Our travelers love signing up for our vacations. It's a seamless, fun, and stress-free way to plan your vacation. Many people have compared it to a dating profile, and we are their matchmakers. We're incredibly proud of our Net Promoter Score of 96, meaning 96% of our travelers would refer Pack Up and Go to a friend or family. We often say that our travelers come for the surprise but stay for the service, and 10% of our travelers are repeat customers, and an additional 20% of new customers were referred by a past traveler. We partner with top-notch hotels, tour operators, and small businesses nationwide to ensure a frictionless experience from start to finish. And our traveler has a background from working at top-notch hotels and travel agencies to event management and more. I'm incredibly proud of how much we've grown in the last 3.5 years, but I know that by using our data, we can continue to improve the concept of surprise travel to get as many people as possible jumping for joy at the airport. So, Chris, you have an envelope. I would love for you to open it to see where you might travel with Pack Up and Go.
Where am I going?
Oh, sorry, it's the page in the envelope.
Oh, it's not this page. This is the pitch. Park City. Bribery will definitely win you this contest. Fantastic.
Well done, Lillian.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Seat in the Dragon's Den.
So, if I may, great presentation, super creative, and I have to say, the fact that you're cash flow positive as a business is something to be incredibly proud of, and so it's very, very hard to do. So, great work. But so here's my question. Obviously, my first reaction is, wow, this is really narrow, right? People generally travel for leisure infrequently, right? So to think about the percentage of those people that would also choose a random surprise travel experience, it seems like your opportunity to create any kind of brand experience or ongoing marketplace of travelers is really thin. How are you sure that you're not just a flash in the pan that gets an initial trial but can never grow out of that small niche business?
That's a great question. And I think that the fact that 20% of our new business is referred by a past traveler really speaks to the growing community aspect.
But do you think that that's sustainable? I mean, 20% off a small base is not a big number.
But the small base is also continuing to grow. And what we see now is that many travelers are using it for the convenience as well as the surprise. So, for example, we have a lot of travelers departing from opposite ends of the country, and they want to meet in the middle but aren't sure where to go. So parents who want their 3 children from around the country to meet them somewhere, and they don't want to coordinate the flight times to have everyone land around the same time, or college reunion trips. So we're really seeing that it's a much broader audience than just people who are in it for the surprise.
You know, travel planning is pretty controversial in that on stage every year we all kind of have the inside jokes about if we don't use 30 websites to plan travel, is it really happening? And how are we going to have street cred if we don't suffer through the travel planning process? And you're suggesting to just totally take that out of the equation. I'm curious if this is more around kind of replacing the travel planning activity, or is this a bargain hunting? You know, is this about finding economic travel, or is it about a new experience that a traveler wouldn't really have, or is it all three?
We certainly do not position ourselves as a bargain travel company. Our trips for road trips start at $400 per person, and for flying, they start at $650 per person. But our average budget per person is around $900. So we definitely don't say that we are for a bargain hunter, but it's definitely for the convenience and the service. And we do partner with 4- and 5-star hotels nationwide. So we do get negotiated rates at those properties, but it certainly is not for a budget traveler.
Tell us a little bit about the technology in the back end. Are you human API driven, or are you technology API driven? What's going on behind the scenes?
So we have been a very human API driven company until now. So we actually just partnered with Carnegie Mellon University, we're based in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, to really harness our data to streamline the process. So for the first couple of years of the business, I wanted to make sure that because this is a new concept, that we could validate it. And now that we know it works and it's gaining traction, now we can streamline and prepare to scale.
Because I imagine that's a big challenge. To get from 6 million to 600 million, you're going to need, massive technology, like lots of matching technology and lots of smarts. Like, do you think you've got enough money and enough fundraising to get that technology in place?
We are starting to build it out more now. So one major hurdle that we'll have to face is we currently book direct. And so we're going to start to integrate with GDS in order to scale our operations. So we're working on that one.
Yeah, one of the things I was going to say is with Chris and following up on that, how many of these customers are repeat customers? Because to me, that's where it goes if you can get them back. I love your NPS score, wonderful. Will you get them back?
So right now, 10% of our travelers are repeat customers, and that number we saw grow about 3% just in the last year. So it's definitely continuing. We've now had several 5-time travelers, for example, people who use this for their annual birthday or anniversary celebrations.
So a couple of last questions. If this works, it's pretty easy to copy, right? So what's the defendable advantage as a business over time?
I would say, first and foremost, we really pride ourselves on customer service. We have 24-hour in-house customer service in case there's anything that comes up on your trip, whether it's a flight cancellation, an issue at the hotel. So we really are putting that as our...
Which is
good.
expensive, so good luck.
Yeah.
Expensive.
Well
Thank
done.
you very much.
Thank
Nice
you.
one. Cheers. Good one. Nice one.